Hello, checking in with chapters 8 to 12 of Wildfire, number 3 in the Hidden Legacy series by Alona Andrews, this urban fantasy series, which, hey, we get the roll credits moment where we find out that indeed what is the Hidden Legacy, but the three daughters of that have been produced by Victoria Tremaine, their grandmother's eugenics program, which she had miscarried she'd had, I think it's 12 miscarriages. And so it turns out what she has done, because she actually has the sit down with her, and she reveals kind of the awful truth, which is that she found a prime that would give up its sperm, which turned out to be a siren one. There was her with her truth seeker stuff, and they needed a host because she'd been miscarrying, and the host was another prime, and this prime was somebody who one of these people who could transform into their power is transformation, and I guess this is a really scary and feared thing because people who transform into monsters often end up just staying in that form and wreaking horrible destruction. And this is how we get Nevada, who has the truth seeker power of her grandmother. We have Catalina, who has this siren power of making people basically fall in love with her and do whatever she says. But unfortunately, if it's exposed too long, it becomes to the point of super psychotically obsessive and will literally rip the magic user apart. And Arab, the and Arabella, who, surprise, surprise, we find out in a later scene, can transform into monster. Though she is been able to, she still has the reason of herself. She just can't talk in this form, and we find this out because the kids get kidnapped by the baddies, and she ends up after the monster cat that her father kind of not tamed, but just sort of made a connection with, tracks it down, and the big Kodiak bear helps them along the way because these two animals have made friends with the little girl. She drops out of a helicopter, transforms into this thing, and destroys the giant beast that had been summoned by one of the baddies. And this is how they actually capture Vincent, and at which point Nevada uses her powers, which, she's untutored, but she's got this intuitive kind of sense of how to do things. And he's got a hex placed on him, a hex created by her grandmother, because she was a part of this group that's going to raise this, going to overthrow society. Oh yeah, that's the main thing of all this, is the bad guys want to overthrow the regular society now and basically set up, instead of the democracy, which still apparently reigns even though we have all these magic people around, going to overthrow that and set them up as like a magic Caesar, dictator to rule them all. But he's placed these unbreakable hexes in the people's minds, so you can't actually find out what's happening, and if you try and break the hex, it'll just destroy the mind. But Nevada kind of looks at the thing, goes deeper and deeper, and figures out, there's basically, it's kind of metaphorically, there's suspended blades above this guy's brain, and that, how can I defeat this? And so we have a kind of the cool, exciting magic description of her basically catching and absorbing the blades to prevent it from, and that thus dispel the hex. And now she says, where is Daniel, the dude that was supposedly kidnapped, but actually he was just fleeing because he considered his children duds, and he wanted to get rid of them and his wife so he could remarry and not be considered a genetic dead end. And so he was cooperating with this group. So yes, that's sort of this section of things. We also have kind of this super smooth truth seeker other family who comes and tries to wine and dine her and kind of basically manipulate her and interrogate her in such just a way to kind of get her on his side. But she sees through all this, and he is present there for where she is trying to dismantle this hex, and he's like, oh no, there's no way he can do it, she can do it, she's uneducated. And it's like, he doesn't care about her, I care about her. But she deactivates it and turns, and he flees, which makes you think, okay, somebody was hiding something and now wants to get the hell out of the way before Victor starts blabbing, because she grips him in his thing and says in her inhuman voice, where is the guy? And it's like, okay, stuff is going to come out, and I wonder if it's going to implicate him as well. Also Nevada, because while she's having this horrible revelations from her grandmother, the baddies burst in because they're like, okay, no, we need Nevada right now. It's like, no, you can't have her, she's my daughter. It's like, well, you're getting in our way, and even though you're a part of our group, we're going to kill you and we're going to get her, and we don't have to take her in one piece. We can do all this stuff. And grandmother throws herself in the way of harm's way, takes a bullet for Nevada, and protects her. And then who should show up but the people who are the certification board for primes, and saying like, Victoria Tremaine, you've tried a couple of times indirectly to interfere with Nevada, so you're going to have to pay the punishment. We're going to kill you. And indeed, this guy who with obsidian black eyes seems to have more than enough magic to be able to completely squash and kill her. But Nevada jumps in front, interposes herself and says, no, I can't allow you to kill her. I can't allow you to kill her. So saves the grandmother, and in exchange says, yes, I will owe you guys a favor. At which point her grandmother's saying, don't accept the deal, which is like, oh. And indeed, when she tells Connor about this later, the whole thing about what her sister is, or explaining that and the origins of that, and the fact that she now owes these people a favor, he seems pretty shaken. And this is Mad Dog Rogan, who's like, so it's like, obviously she has taken on a very, very serious onus. So yes, interesting and more interesting. All right. So that's what I have at the moment for Wldfr by Ilona Andrews. But yes, we finally know what the Hidden Legacy thing means. They are the three sisters of the Hidden Legacy. And as you can see, we're going to have 3 books of Nevada, probably 3 books of Catalina, maybe 3 books of Catalina, and then you would think 3 books of Arabella. That would be very neat and tidy for a 9-book series, which, these things get ka-chunked out. So I can see Ilona Andrews and the writing team plotting this out right from the beginning as like, okay, how are we going to have this as a nicely put out series? So yes, very interesting commercial urban fantasy fiction, fun stuff, really well narrated in what I'm listening to. Yeah, and we'll go from there. More videos later.